The doorman is supposed to be on the same level as the patron, so why is he the only one you can play? I designed what it would look like if the Hidden King was Deadlock's next hero, and you wouldn't guess the ultimate I designed. It really makes him feel like a king. Here's everything I gave him. Let's start from the top. The Hidden King's main attack and weapon? The Amber Hand. It is an homage to what his name used to be before the Old Bloods and New Gods update, and also just fits because, you know, his hands are amber colored. And I was thinking that I wanted the ability to make it feel like whenever they're in close range or in your area, it is really strong and easy to hit, not auto aim like Graves, but easy to hit. And luckily, there's already something to inspire how it's supposed to look. Whenever you break both shrines in the Hidden King's base, he starts shooting out a laser to defend the base himself. Now, this would function similar to Bebop's laser, and it would just shoot a straight laser that would basically be hit scan. However, this one would be slightly thicker and would not have the wind up time that Bebop's laser does. It would be very easy to hit when they're relatively close to you. However, it would have a much more limited range. I guess similar to Graves. And beyond this range, it would just like fall off completely. Like it would have like a circle here. Beyond this, no damage. So you really want to play around the distance and how close you are to the enemy. Furthermore, this range is also going to play very heavily into his second ability. However, first we need to cover what his first ability is. Shadow's Grasp. His first ability would have a sort of lockup mechanism similar to certain items, or I think Yamato's like hook ability where you have to like select an enemy character and lock onto them in order to activate it. And once it activates, it would summon a sort of shadow that would go across the ground and over any terrain until they are right under the enemy, and then it would summon a hand that would grab onto them, holding onto them for maybe 2 seconds, something around that, stopping them from running away. However, it does have some, let's say, counterplay. First off, if the enemy, while the shadow is coming, is able to move far enough away, like such, the shadow would simply stop after a few seconds and like maybe go towards them. And it would linger here for about a second. If anyone walks into it, it would grab them as well, but it would not like chase them indefinitely. Like Race ult in the past. It'd be much more limited in that sense. Furthermore, if the shadow is able to catch onto someone and about to grab them, they are able to parry it, which would negate the snare for a couple seconds. Now, the final question is, what will happen if a character is like really high up above the ground? In my mind, it would follow the same pattern of following them across the terrain. However, when under them, it would either do two things. One, which I'm not so much for, is that it would just go up and not reach them because it just is like ground level. Or two, it just goes up much bigger and much higher and still grabs them. That visual makes sense, but yeah, it would just like still grab them. Yeah, that would fit very well with the whole like idea and emotion I'm trying to go for him. Like I think most kits are supposed to have like some cohesiveness to them. So for him, I want them to be like very gets him in a certain, gets his enemies in an area and to stay in the Hidden King's area, which is his area, and he's like more advantageous when they're close to him or in a certain range. Like I mentioned previously, that he has like a limited range with his shooting, so this would allow them to like, if they're pretty far away, to grab them and he can run up to them. Or if they do parry, in order to like not be grabbed by it, they still slow down to a degree, still allowing him to run up closer. His second ability, Unraveling, is probably my favorite one at the moment. Now, the line that I've been drawing of like, oh, this is the range of his weapon, it is for that, but also this isn't just like a line that I'm drawing right now. I would imagine that he would always have a line around him showing his, per se, effective range. Now, this is not only for his weapon, but it is also for when his second ability is possible to put into use. His second ability would be a sort of skill shot where he snaps his fingers and a little, I'd say, dart shoots out really quickly towards a character. If they get hit, that ability mainly activates. If they dodge, they're good. But if they do get hit, I would take inspiration from The King in Yellow, which is a book that people say online that the Hidden King is inspired by. And a big part of this book is that whenever they were exposed to, I think it's a certain book or him or something with being exposed to reading it, they go insane. So with this, if they get hit by this skill shot, as long as they are within the range that would be drawn out here and in line of sight of the hitting king, so if there's any sort of barrier in between, like a wall or anything, after a few seconds, they lose it. Similar to Lady Guy's life drain. If there's a wall in between, it no longer is active, but as long as they're in line of sight and within the range, they'll start building up a insanity or unraveling meter. And whenever it fully procs, a few things happens. The main things I was thinking of is all of their controls jumble. So you can still move around and all that, but it'll be like mixed up, like it'll be in reverse or something of the sort, and all your abilities will be like mixed up. And apart from that, I was thinking, I'm not sure, you guys can let me know. Maybe a stun, but maybe a stun's too much with that. I was thinking that the controls jumble and maybe like a certain chunk of damage is dealt. Those are the main two things I was thinking. So yeah, a level of insanity that starts building whenever you are in line of sight. Now for the max level, I was thinking that it builds passively whenever anyone's in line of sight and within the range. I don't know if that's too powerful. I feel like it's fine. That if you're in the range and in line of sight of the hitting king, you start building it passively. That's at max level with the second ability. And then certain things like they can still shoot the skill shot, and if it hits you, it just like goes twice as fast or faster. And if the hitting king shoots you while the skill shot is on you, this is not just at max level always, it builds up faster, which would sort of start building the loop around the hitting king of being like, oh, he wants to get you into his domain, which is like his effective area, and then hit you with his skill shots, hold you down with his other shadow ability, the like hand one, and just hit you with that, like make you be in his domain until he procs it on you and just like does all the damage and all that. Then as a final touch, I was also thinking that's a visual for you to know that you are like getting more and more close to unraveling, to have like a sort of squiggly effect going over the character's head that the person can see, and also maybe over their mini-map, similar to whenever you get ulted by Drifter, you can't see anything on your mini-map, maybe a sort of scramble effect over it to make it hard to see stuff on the mini-map. And yeah, I don't know if that's too strong or that's too much stuff, but I think it sounds pretty good. It doesn't sound too bad, but it sounds pretty good. This ability is probably what most of the Hitting King is built around, but the third one, it's interesting in my mind. It's a mix of some things you have in the game, but with a fun twist on them. For his third ability, the Candle of the Court, I wanted to give him something that would allow him to be more suppressive in the map and go cover more area to make it feel like it is his domain, as well as giving something to stay on someone once he starts his cycle of them being within his range and domain. Now, it's a sort of like dual ability. The first part is that at any point he can like shoot out. It's like the dual cast. He can either shoot it on a enemy character or onto the ground. When you shoot onto the ground, he just like lights a little fire and a little. Oh, okay, I fixed it. He shoots a little something, and if it hits the ground, it spawns a little Wickerman statue, which is the same thing that he has in his patron form. If you see like under, there's like a fiery statue of him that sort of like projects his like astral patron form. It would be like the same thing but smaller. This is my time drawing it. It's kind of bad, and it would sort of remain there, and he could go out into different areas and teleport back to it. Now, the way I was thinking about this is similar to actually like a Yoru Kurlo, like the Yoru anchor thing from Valorant, but few things. One, I feel like it would be a little too OP if you can just teleport to whenever. So it'd have the same thing as that Mirage has, that whenever he's in combat, he can't use it for like 5 seconds until he's out of combat. So at least he has to like hide for 5 seconds to be able to teleport away. And 2, this is breakable, right? So if someone else comes over and is able to find it, they can just destroy it. Now, I was thinking of 2 things. One, either they can destroy it and it's just gone, he can't teleport to it, or if someone finds it, they can alert their teammates, and then they can get a few of them here and then break it. And then whenever it's broken, the Hidden King automatically teleports to it, which would be like a free jumping. So those were the 2 different ones. I think the second one's more interesting, but yeah. Now the second variable for it, since you can cast it on the ground or on a person, I was thinking. Now originally I wanted to be very similar to Drifter's ability, where you shoot something and then the person it hits gets a little candle wick on them. This is sort of like an homage to what he currently has for his troopers, that they're all like little candles. So it's fitting, and it also like will mark them of being like, okay, this person can be teleported to. Now it was originally like a skill shot similar to Drifter, but I don't know. I don't want it to be like too the same. And also this should be like the harder version of doing it since it's on a character in my mind. So in opposition, I was making it so that the Hidden King has to be up close to them. And when he is up close to them, he can do like a little claw thing, like with his hand, he can like put it on them. And then that can continue the cycle that once someone gets close to him into his domain, he can make sure to stick to them and make them remain in his domain. So he can only teleport to them after he puts this on them when they're in close range. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that's pretty good. And I'm not sure. You guys let me know what you guys think. Also, as a final note, I think the way that he would teleport, like just like visualize, because visuals are always cool to think about. He would like fold into himself within like his own body. He'd fold into himself and then get smaller and smaller and smaller. And then here a little shadow would come out, engulf this, and then he would appear from it. I'm not gonna draw his details, but yeah, he would appear from it. And the same thing with the Wickerman statue. It would just be like a shadow would come out from under it, engulf it, and he would appear. Now, time for the ultimate, which is my favorite. The throne. It is his ultimate ability, and honestly, it is in contest for being my favorite one. However, I do also have something after it that's a sort of cherry on top for the character that you can see if you stay around after. The main things that we've been sort of discussing about this character and that I've designed him around is the idea of having an effective area, of him having a sort of circle around him that whenever things are in that area, it is like his domain, his kingdom, and he is the most effective there. That's where his attacks can go. That's where his unraveling activates to make people go insane. And that is also where he wants to get to, and the use of his like shadow grasp ability. Now, something I thought would be really cool for the ultimate is having his own actual physical domain come to life, similar to the doorman, that he can teleport people into his sort of alternate dimension. But I didn't really want to have another alternate dimension that people get teleported to. So I started looking at Kelvin, and Kelvin has something cool where he sort of creates a dome in the area. So I was thinking of having it so that when he activates the ability, a sort of dome of shadows is created, which is gonna probably just be more visual than anything. It's not gonna be a hard limiter. The enemies can and like allies can still go in and out of it freely, but it's more gonna be a visual where like the areas of the map are darkened and more like black, I guess, to semblance shadows or just like darker colors, or just like a lower shade of what they currently are. Then when he casts it, the Hidden King is gonna sit on, well, you probably guessed it, his throne. So a throne is going to appear, he's going to sit on it, and a dome of shadows are going to appear. Now the main thing here is that anything in the dome is supposed to be his domain, his kingdom, and he is going to be much more powerful against enemies in this dome. The main things I was thinking is that his abilities are buffed in every way. Now I don't really know how to make the Candle of the Court buff, the teleport ability, so I was thinking of just leaving that like how it is, but for the rest of his things, his unraveling, whenever the dome activates, any enemy within it will start getting stacks. Like if there's this guy here, Vindicta, they both will start getting the stacks on them as soon as it activates, maybe like a sort of like boost of like 10% immediately, and then it will start going. Same idea of like if they're in line of sight. If they're like a line of sight, so it doesn't apply. If they're in line of sight in the dome, it'll start applying to everyone, and they'll get like a chunk, like an initial chunk. Secondly, he'll just still be able to aim and shoot his gun, so that'll be chill. And also maybe, I was thinking maybe he'll have extra damage to those he shoots with his gun. And third, with his shadow grasps, I was thinking of making it so that it insta-casts on them. So that instead of it being like, oh, a long shadow that then comes up and grabs them, since they're already within a shadow, technically, it would make sense if the shadow just instantly comes out of around them and grabs them. Those are the main buffs to his abilities. Now, there's a few things that are more out there that I think would be cool. One would be that this dome also buffs his allies. I feel like that's not that out there. I don't know if it's too powerful though. If all of them get like stat boost or like healing or something of the sort, that might be too powerful, but if not, I feel like that would be pretty cool. Apart from that, I was thinking of making it so that those enemies within the dome start seeing hallucinations. What do I mean by this? When you're in the dome, I would think that the Hidden King maybe goes invisible. You'd know that he's in the middle because that's how it works. He can't move. Whenever he sits on a throne, he can't move. He goes invisible, and maybe depending on what characters are on the Hidden King's team, all of them, hallucinations to them, and also the Hidden King, because why not, will start like popping up and like going towards the enemies and then disappearing, and just like over and over. Maybe not like rapid fire, but like over and over to sort of make it go a little more intense, or like it fit into the insanity hallucination part of the Hidden King and the different themes that we've been working with them. Now the issue is, if they see that the enemy is in the dome, right? They see the enemy. They're not gonna believe the hallucination, right? Because if there's two like McGinnises like right next to each other, right? You saw this one before, and then when the dome appears, this one appears. You're just gonna know that this one's the real one. So there are two ways to make this work, I guess, is that one, either the original ones go invisible for a few seconds and then they reappear with the clones, or I don't know, that would be a main one. Or making it so that the characters in the dome have a much more limited view range, similar to when Drifter rules. I think I mentioned his abilities previously, that outside of a certain range they can't see anything, making them have a much more limited range so that they can only see things near to them. But I feel like it would have to be too limited. So I was thinking maybe more that the characters go invisible for like a second or half a second, and they reappear with the clones. That's what I was thinking. And maybe to balance it, only the characters who are initially in the dome whenever it activates do that, because characters can go in and out of free will. So the idea of it is that whenever the Hidden King ults, anything in the shadow area, his like kingdom, is really strong for his team and himself. But if they leave, it basically has no effect on them. So as soon as Vindicta is able to leave this area, she's good. She's out of the effective range of the Hidden King's attacks and abilities, and it's no longer buffed. And his teammates can like chase, but like they won't have the buffs from the dome. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think of all four abilities, what you guys would change, or what other variations you guys would think would be cool. And on to the last part. I made character portraits for both his like what his neutral would be like, for what he would look like when he's, what is it, in despair, when he's really damaged, and this is sort of the lasers that pop out of him whenever you destroy the first phase of his patron form, and also when he's really good. I don't really know how to make him look very like yes, like creepy or like proud, I guess, with his little features. I gave him a little smiley face. But yeah, what would a character be without their portraits? You should like subscribe and watch the next video on your screen right now. That'd be pretty cool. Okay, bye.